Hey, what's up guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Sennheiser GSP 500 open back headset. Now you might be able to see I've also got an open back box of the Game One. In this review I will be referring to the Game One as the Game One has been out for quite a while and has been reviewed to death. I'm not going to be doing a separate review for this. However, I'm going to be integrating it within the GSP 500 review and comparing and contrasting. Now the GSP 500 it can be found for around £200. At the time of making this review it's only open for pre-orders, and that's on overclockers.co.uk. The Game One can be found for £155, and the GSP 600, which is the closed back variant of the GSP 500, can be found for £220. Unfortunately, I haven't heard the 600 variant, although what I read online is that it uses the same drivers except it's a closed back variant, very much like what Audio-Technica did with these headsets. So the build quality and design. Now first of all, in terms of color schemes, you can find it in black and red only, whereas the Game One and even the Game Zero versions could be found in black and white, so do bear that in mind. I've got no problem with the design and the colors. I actually quite like them. The microphone has the same sort of design as the Game One, as the flip to mute microphone. Now this might annoy a few people which prefer like a sort of inline microphone, but nevertheless this is what Sennheiser has decided to do. The headset is connected via a 2.5mm jack on the left-hand ear cup. It can be found around the back of the earplug. Now what I found slightly interesting over here is the positioning, and this actually means that the cable kind of trails down from the back of your ear rather than the front of your ear or on the side, which means that if you're wearing it with a shirt you might notice a little bit of microphonics when that comes up, but if you're not wearing a shirt, which I don't expect many gamers to do when they're actually gaming, then it won't be a problem at all. Now on the right hand ear cup you've got a volume wheel. That's the overall headset's volume that you can adjust. The volume wheel is quite stiff, although this headset is absolutely brand new, so I can imagine that over time with wear and tear it will become a little looser. Now the open back design might be hard to show on camera, but it is over here. You can see the grill over here, and within it you can see the drivers. Now in terms of the comfort, I felt that these headsets were actually really comfortable. In comparison to the Game One or even the Game Zero, which is open back versus closed back of this headset, I felt that the headphones clamp was a lot looser, which was very much appreciated for people like myself who wear glasses. But also I felt that the pads, because they were thicker and also were much deeper as well, I felt that they were a lot more comfortable than these not on ear but over the ear kind of HD 598 sort of design. They're fine, but when you're going to be gaming for long periods of time, the GSP 500 was a lot more comfortable overall. In terms of the top headband, now the top headband of the Game One is very soft. At the top of the GSP 500 it's a little bit stiffer, however due to the open back design, as you can see over here, and also these little adjustable little sliders, it means that the headset is breathable and a lot more comfortable, again useful when it comes to long gaming sessions. So again, a small little note for the build quality and design, but something that should be mentioned. Now the headset is adjustable, as you can probably imagine, and it's got a sort of decent wiggle room no matter the size of your head. I also quite like the mechanism that Sennheiser have used over here. It allows for a little pivoting, so again different types of head shapes and sizes. It's fantastic. So overall, in terms of build quality and design, absolutely no problems. In terms of comfort, I much prefer these wearing the GSP 500s over the Game One or Game Zeros. Especially if you wear glasses, so do bear that in mind. But I'm still not a fan of this flip to mute microphone, but nevertheless that's a personal preference. Moving on, I should mention the cables. So within the packaging you got two separate types of cables. You got a mobile cable which is around 1.2 meters long, and it's got a right angle jack, 3.5mm termination, gold plated. But then you've also got a longer 2.5 meter cable which connects to the back of your PC. Now you might be wondering, why can I see four? That's simply because I've got the Game One, Game Zero's one, and the GSP 500's one right next to each other. And I just want to mention, in terms of overall length, for some reason Sennheiser have decided to reduce the length, and I just wanted to show you that in terms of the difference. You can see over here the cable is a lot longer. I don't know why they've decided to bring it down by about, I would say, I don't know, 50 odd centimeters, but nevertheless Sennheiser have decided to put a 2.5 meter long cable rather than, I think, what the Game One, Game Zero had is around 3 meters long. In terms of the terminations, they've got, it's a microphone and line out output, which is pretty much standard. However, at this price range, just very much like that I noted on my Audio-Technica review that I previously did, and link will be down in the description for that in case you're interested, there's no USB audio, which means that you're going to be relying on your sound card, and I'll get into that in the sound quality section, which we're going to jump into right now. So now onto the sound quality. A lot of people will be wondering, how does the GSP 500 compare to the Sennheiser Game Ones? I can tell you just straight off the bat, the GSP 500 sound great and are better than the Game Ones in pretty much every single department. And here I'm going to break them down. First of all, the sub bass. The sub bass on the GSP 500 extends that little bit extra. In comparison to the Audio-Technicas and the Game Ones, the GSP 500 was able to produce that extra little sub bass that I would expect from a audiophile grade headphone, let alone an audiophile grade headset. In terms of the mid-bass response, there was a nice controlled slam, and it wasn't wobbly at all. The Game Ones were really good in this department, but were still slightly uncontrolled versus GSP 500. Here we're talking about really fine margins, but if I'm comparing them and I'm really doing proper audio tests and A/B testing them, here is something that I have to pick out. And the mid bass is on the GSP 500s, that slight bit better. In terms of the mid-range, just the overall mids, I felt that both headsets were very good. However, the GSP 500 again came out on top. It sounded just a little less pushed back, and in terms of the upper mid reproduction was very nice. However, in comparison to the Audio-Technicas, which are the ATH-ADG1X, I know, quite a mouthful, the Audio-Technicas trumped them both. That's simply because of the upper mids and the lower mids. Actually, the whole mid-range just sounded a little bit more forward. It means it didn't feel as pushed back and didn't sound as V-shaped. What does that mean in the real world? Vocals are going to sound a little clearer, and in terms of overall gameplay, you're going to have a lot more engaging sound with these. In terms of the highs, all headsets had a slight rolled off highs at the top end. So the sort of extension was very good, produced all fantastic sort of sparkle, but in comparison to audiophile grade headphones like my custom modded Denon D2000s, then they just sounded a little bit rolled off. It's to be expected, but nevertheless it's something that I thought I should mention. Finally, in terms of soundstage, now given its open back, or I would say semi-open back nature, the GSP 500 were good, which came to no surprise. The audio was very nice, positional cues were fantastic. If you're listening out for footsteps coming from left and right, you're going to hear them fantastically. And also in terms of overall how the music was presented, it just sounded fantastic. The Game Ones, on the other hand, also sounded great, but felt a little bit more close sounding than the GSP 500s. I'm not sure what that is. It could be due to the nature of the headphones and their design, but nevertheless I felt the GSP 500s came out on top. So overall, in terms of every sound department over here, the GSP 500s come out on top. However, I would like to point out two things. First of all, the open back nature of the headphones, that made me question them when I put on these Audio-Technicas. These Audio-Technicas are completely and truly open back, and in all honesty I felt the Audio-Technicas were a lot more transparent, a lot wider in terms of their soundstage reproduction, and had fantastic instrument separation. Don't get me wrong, the GSP 500 does a great job, but when I compared it to the Audio-Technica, it didn't even stand a chance. It's almost comparing a closed back headphone to an open back headphones. That was how much the difference was between the two. Still, it's just something I should mention, just because even though the Audio-Technicas are £80 more expensive, it's worth noting its competitors. Now obviously in comparison to a closed back headphone like my Denon D2000s, they sounded a little wider. Nevertheless, the Denon D2000s have got wider drivers, and therefore when it came to overall width and depth, and especially in terms of the tonality, my audiophile grade Denon headphones came out on top. So pick and choose your weapon, as some would say, but or pick and choose your poison, shall I say? But the GSP 500s all I'm trying to say over here is the GSP 500 sound great. However, there are some sort of flaws in certain departments, and they can be contrasted between its competitors or other things that you can potentially buy. And finally, the last thing I want to mention is the overall impedance or the driving power of the GSP 500. Literally A/B testing these two headphones when I was plugging one cable in and plugging it onto the other headset, I felt that I had to ramp up the volume of the GSP 500 quite substantially. When I'm saying quite substantially, I'm saying about 20% on a smartphone. Now, of course, you might be saying, hey, it's not made for a smartphone, but it comes with a smartphone cable, so therefore I could easily test a volume difference. Don't worry, I tested these on a smartphone, I tested these on a receiver, and a small little portable amplifier as well, to see the differences between the two. Long story short, GSP 500 needs a bit more driving power, which means that if you've got a built-in sound card, you might find yourself ramping up the volume a little bit more than you'd normally expect, or if you want to drive it properly, you might need a dedicated sound card in order to achieve that. So those were my thoughts in terms of audio quality. If you've got any questions of what I've mentioned over here, make sure you pop them in the comments below. Now, it won't be right to finish a headset review without a recording quality test, and that's what we're going to jump into right now.
So everything you can hear right now is coming directly from the Sennheiser GSP 500. Now you might be wondering, why is the recording quality why does it have a little bit of static in the background? And that's because it's plugged in directly to my motherboard. You might be wondering, okay, then plug it into a sound card. Well, I've got a mini USB sound card which I usually use for testing or actually on a daily basis. I have my ModMic 4.0 which I use with my audiophile grade headphones. I use them in order to testing with the Game Ones, and I use them with the Audio-Technicas. However, due to the way that the headset is constructed, and I've noticed this in the past with other headsets, such as the HyperX Stinger, which is a £50 headset, for some reason it doesn't work due to the poles within the headset or the resistor within the microphone. Regardless of the issue, I just want to mention that with my cheap USB sound card, I think from TechNet or whatever it was called, it doesn't work. It doesn't pick up, and the audio doesn't pick up at all, which means that I had to result in plugging the headset in the back of my PC. Therefore, if you're going to be wanting to get the best audio quality from the headset, make sure you've got a dedicated sound card, not a USB sound card of sorts. This will bypass the problem and therefore negate any static sound that you can hear. Now, ignoring the static sound, I must say the sound is actually very loud and very clear. My voice comes out very nice in terms of audio recordings. It is a little missing in terms of the boomy side. There's not as much bass as I would want, but in terms of the mid-range and the highs of the recordings, I felt that the GSP 500 was very good. Now I'm going to go to the Game Ones, and here are the Game Ones plugged in directly into the motherboard using the same cable. As you're able to hear, the sound quality is slightly different. As in, when I say sound quality, I mean the recording quality here is slightly different. I felt that it's slightly not as loud as the GSP 500 and not as clear. I'm not sure what the reasoning is, because I thought they had the same microphone, at least they had the exact same design, but the GSP 500 here just comes out that slight bit above. Very much like the sound quality of the headset, the recording quality of the GSP 500 is just that little bit better. Now let's go on to the Audio-Technicas, the ModMic, and then just come on to the overall conclusion. And right now I've got the Audio-Technicas plugged in directly into my motherboard. Now you might be able to hear again the Audio-Technicas come out on top in terms of recording quality. And now let's switch to that USB sound card which works with the Audio-Technicas. And now I'm back with the Audio-Technicas plugged into my mini USB, very cheap USB sound card. You can drastically hear the difference, and if you just go back on the video and just compare and contrast, you'll be able to hear a complete reduction in static noise coming from the Audio-Technica headset that I heard on the GSP 500 plugged into my motherboard. So overall, if I'm in terms of recording quality, the Audio-Technicas come out on top in terms of gaming headsets. Now finally, let's not forget the ModMic 4.0. And here is the ModMic 4.0, which some people could use as a reference if you've ever used it with a audiophile grade headphones. So as you can hear, yet again, it's plugged into a USB sound card, and yet again the sound quality is very, very good, if not the best out of the whole bunch. Now let's go back to the GSP 500. And now we're back with the GSP 500. So overall, my thoughts, and you can compare yourselves on the video, is that I found the Audio-Technicas came out on top in terms of headsets go. In terms of overall microphone, it's pretty much a toss-up between the Audio-Technicas and my mod mic, which is attached to my audiophile grade headphones. Then it came with the GSP 500s and then the Game Ones. Again, very much like the overall sound quality, the recording quality kind of follows suit. Now another thing I want to talk about is the microphone mute. Now I'm just going to keep on talking while I'm able to hear a slight sort of sound that goes and comes back. No problems there in terms of mic mute, not a overly loud bang or something like that occurs, so good job Sennheiser. So what are my overall opinions of the headset? Well, in all honesty, I think it sits pretty much as its price tag suggests. It's a better version of the Sennheiser Game Ones or even the Game Zeros, especially because they've got an open back design. Now, I can't comment in terms of the GSP 600 if it's going to be worth it or not, but from what I can understand from the press releases and whatnot, the GSP 500 is the open back variant of the GSP 600, which, if that's anything to go by, get the GSP 500 over the GSP 600. I don't know about the naming either. Why would they put 600 500? But nevertheless, that's not my job. Now, if you have about £200 to spend, get this headset over this one. Just spend the extra £40 to £50 and you'll get a much better headset overall, from comfort to looks to audio quality to recording quality. You're just going to get a better experience overall. If, however, you had even unlimited budget, then I'd say go get the Audio-Technicas instead. They sound better, they've got a better open back design, well, they're fully open back, and they've got a better microphone, which actually works with a USB sound card with no problems. If, however, you're someone who is willing to mod or willing to actually buy an audiophile grade headphone and then separately buy a microphone, then there's no competition. Still, audiophile grade headphones come out on top. So no matter how hard or how expensive you're going to go, still audiophile grade headphones are still going to have that one up, because for a similar price tag, which my modded Denons come to around £280 odd as a total package, you're just going to get a much better sound quality and a recording quality which follows suit with the Mod Mic 4.0 or 5. But overall, can I recommend the GSP 500s? Well, absolutely. They've got good sound quality, they've got decent recording quality as well, and in terms of the build quality and design, absolutely no complaints. I would have just liked a little bit better on the mic muting. I would have liked a little less V-shaped sounding, a little more forward mids, and I would have liked a truly open back design like the Sennheiser HD700 and the HD800, which are Sennheiser's flagship headphones out there on the market. Those are truly open back headsets and really do sound very spacious and very open. So that's my opinion of the headset, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and in terms of the comparison. I know it's been a long video, but I thought I'm going to go in depth, unlike other YouTubers out there which are just going to skim over the top. I just want to go in depth and give you the most accurate comparison and honest opinion as I can. Unbiased, unpaid, independent reviewer, which you're not going to find out there on YouTube. At least not many are going to be like that. Anyway, that's my opinion, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe, as it always helps the channel grow, and favourite and share if you found this useful, as your friends and family might do as well. Alright guys, I've been totally dubbed. Take care and bye bye.